your eyes. He wants us to be your feet, your mouth, your representatives in this world of discrimination, of social injustice. We gather on this platform this evening to seek guidance. Please be with our descendants, be with our youth, so that we can know how to serve you better, how to be your representatives in this world. Father God, you have a plan for our lives, a plan for your young people. They want to act, but the proper way and the best way. So come, minister to them, and let them realize in the midst of this situation, you are right there. Be with us, teach us, and do even beyond our request. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So we are going to hear from our awesome and amazing Haitian coordinator who has been by our side, really trying to put this together. We really do care about you in our life pictures. And so with that being said, we're going to listen to Pastor Jean-Écoute Toussaint, who will also welcome you guys and just tell you guys why we are here.
Welcome. Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters, my dear colleague pastors, and my dear young people of my district and all our young people of South Atlantic Conference. I praise God for this great opportunity we have this afternoon to come together to reflect on social justice and racism. We are living in a time of trouble and confusion. Everyone, according to his view and value, is right. And most of us don't want to take responsibility. The world is upside down. But let me assure you, there's a creator, the one who created the world is watching over us. And we don't have to be afraid about now. God is always the God of promises. He's able to correct every wrongdoing on earth. And what you and we are living now is beyond what we can think. The reality is not what you see on earth. The reality is a battle for so many years between good and evil. It's my privilege this afternoon to thank Mrs. Edwin Estime. We need to recognize God has chosen her for such a time because we won't wait when she won't be no longer with us to talk about her. But we want her to understand, we as pastors of this community, we praise God for her presence and for her leadership among our young people. When she called me and brought to my attention the desire of our young people to consider how they can show their feelings about the wrongdoing in the society, I said to her, let's do what is right with them. And talking to my two pastors, colleagues, we came with the idea to have this town hall. We want you to know we are with you. Probably you can be disappointed because the way you expected us to express our anger is not the way you see us doing business. But be assured, we are not different. We don't manifest any despise about what's going on in this society. We are very, very concerned, and we are black as all other blacks, and we are concerned, and we are praying God to give us the best answer to this crisis. In the meantime, we won't pray only, we will act. And this is the reason this afternoon we have come together to express our feelings, our thoughts. And we think we won't be able to make it alone. And I praise God for the team spirit shown among us. And we understood, and Him Himself inspired us to choose the best to talk to you this afternoon. Mrs. Edwin Estimé will lead you and will lay out the plan. But let me tell you, you can always count on us. We are with you. We are sensitive to the problems as you are, but we need to find the best and proper way to do what is right, because we are representatives of the one who is above all, and the one who is our Father and our Creator. Once again, young people of South Atlantic Conference, and young people who are listening and are not part of South Atlantic Conference, those who are on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever social media you are welcome to this discussion. And let's stay focused, and let's remember we are doing it to honor our God and to live every day for His glory. I am really excited to listen to our panelists, and I want to welcome Dr. Michael Pierre, and I will welcome our officer Wilner, joined by our pastor, our doctor in justice and doctor in leadership, Daniel Honoré, the president of the Northeastern Conference, and one of our colleague, our friend, our brother, Pastor Nathanael Gracia. They are our panelists, but I don't want to take the time to introduce each one of us. It's not my responsibility. I will be glad to listen to Mrs. Estimate when she will have to introduce each panelist, each guest. So, young people, let us praise God for this meeting. Let us stay together and let us work for the glory of our Lord. And soon, very soon, we will see the one who has to come to save us for all wrongdoing on earth and to give us the best we can ever imagine in our life. Praise God and welcome to our social justice and racism. Thank you, Mrs. Estimate.
Thank you, Pastor Johnny Peterson. Thank you so much for some powerful words. Thank you for just being on the side of it's just such an honor to be able to have you with us and continue this fight. With that being said, our first was, like you said, we have amazing panelists. We have Dr. Pierre, we have Officer Pican, and we have our Pastor Nathaniel, and also Dr. Onole, who's coming to the North Conference. We are rich in blessing right now, you guys. And so they're going to present. Our first presentation right now is going to be from Dr. Michelle Pierre. I'm just so honored to have her on. She's going to definitely talk about the psychological side of this for us. So just to give you guys a little bit of her background, Dr. Michelle D. Pierre is a licensed marriage and family therapist and a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. She obtained a PhD in family therapy from Nova Southeastern University. She earned a dual master's degree in counseling psychology with a concentration of marriage, family therapy, and mental health counseling from Barry University. Dr. Pierre's areas of specialization includes marriage, family therapy, mental health counseling, and intimate partner violence. She is a clinical fellow with the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy and a AAMC community-approved supervisor. Dr. Pierre was born and raised in Haiti. She migrated to the U.S. at the age of 16. She had experience with diverse population in a variety of settings. Dr. Pierre is a seasoned an amazing psychologist and psychopathologist with expertise in postmodern and modernist approaches, social focused therapy, brief therapy, narrative therapy, collaborative therapy, outgoing family therapy, systematic therapy, team building, leadership training, you name it, abuse counseling, mental health, depression, anxiety, trauma. She is well versed, as you guys can see. So honored for her to be on. Most importantly, Dr. Pierre is also a Christian counselor with core beliefs ingrained in God and as our supreme healer and counselor. Dr. Pierre's favorite Bible passage is Psalm 42. We have to celebrate this. This is such a great job to know that this is one of our own, our Haitian beautiful queen. So thank you so much once again, Dr. Pierre, for coming on. Please.
Thank you. What a wonderful presentation. I am very honored and delighted to be among such a distinguished panel of people. I am here to speak on the psychological effects of racism and police brutality on our Black youth, and my hope is for us to have a great conversation about how we can go about identifying the psychological effects and what we can do about that. So today's presentation will look a little like that. I'll have a brief introduction. I'll define some key terms that will be important throughout this conversation when all the panelists are here. Terms that you're going to be hearing frequently. We'll talk about the prevalence of police brutality in the United States, of course the psychological effects, and how we can cope traumas that we experience as a result of police brutality and racism. When I do presentations, I always start with a quote, and today's quote is by Caitlin Katzmeyer, and it states, "Problems develop when people internalize conversation that restrain them to a narrow description of self. These stories are experienced as oppressive and they limit the perception of available choice. Giving the growing conversation on racism and police brutality against African Americans, particularly our young black men and women, there is a need for us to talk about its consequences on our psychological health and its impact on our community. With so many instances of young black men and women, such as Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, and countless others being killed during their interaction with law enforcement, there is a need for us to talk about how are we being affected as a people. So in today's presentation, my hope is for us to learn the damaging psychological effects of racism and police brutality, learn how to identify racial trauma, learn how to cope effectively, and parents learn some tips on how to help our kids and adolescents deal effectively. And hopefully, as the conversation, when we get to the Q&A, how can we create safe spaces for Black communities to be able to process their lived experiences of racial trauma? So, definition. What is racism? Some terms we're going to hear often today: racism, systemic racism, racial profiling, police brutality. So I'm going to take a little while to define those terms. Racism is basically one's belief in the superiority of your race over another race. Dr. Tony Evans describes it as the conscious and unconscious belief in the superiority of one's race over another. Within racism, we also find colorism. Colorism is a form of racism when lighter and darker tones of skin of particular races are treated as not equal based on the tone of your skin. So there are some races who think that they are superior, like when you take, for example, white supremacy. Part of the Confederate flag, the person who actually created that flag said, and I quote, the white race has been heavily ordained by God to be superior over black. So people with such beliefs will definitely impact how they view their brothers and sisters of different races. Systemic racism is then the belief of superiority in one's race over another that are embedded in the structures of our society, whether it be political, medical, legal, economic. Then these structures translate into policies and procedures, and this is how our state, our cities are governed. So we as people, we are being affected by those policies that are embedded with racism, with the presence of racism. Police profiling is then the act of suspecting or targeting a person on the basis of assumed characteristics or behavior of a racial group rather than on individual suspicion. So because I am black, if I'm in a certain neighborhood, I'm more likely to be pulled over. If the neighborhood is very affluent, rich people, I may be pulled as to what are you doing here just on the basis of my skin color. Then what is police brutality? Police brutality is defined as a civil rights violation when an officer acts with excessive force with regards to a civilian that is more than necessary. That definition is according to U.S. Legal 2016. The very definition is very subjective because one person idea of excessive force will be different than the next person. However, that is the definition when excessive force is used more than necessary on any given civilian. So, what is the prevalence of police brutality on blacks? According to a study that was done in 2017, out of 1,147 people killed by police in 2017, black people made up 25% representation. Of those people killed, 30% of black victims, they were unarmed as compared to 21% of white. Black men are 2.5 times more likely to get killed by police as compared to white men. What is that? According to the U.S. Department of Justice, in 2000, they did a study. One of the key things that came up was the perception of the police of our black young men and women. Four things that I got. The first one is our black kids are more likely to be perceived as older and dangerous than their white counterparts. A study done in 2016 found that police officers estimated young black youth to be 4.5 times more older than the actual age. So can you imagine you have your 12-year-old son out and about, any given police officer can see that son and think that he's much older. Based on that stat, according to Hall and Perry 2016, based on that stat, my 12-year-old can be viewed as a 16-year-old, therefore older, more dangerous. So that's part of their perception. Another one is, as a result, the police officers are more likely to view our black youth as being superhuman or having a higher tolerance to pen. Again, all in Perry 2016. Therefore, these false assumptions tend to lead to the dehumanization of our youth and thereby the justification of the abuse that takes place. So, with that being said, what are the psychological effects? Some of the psychological effects, one of the more prominent is racial trauma. What is racial trauma? Racial trauma involves ongoing individual and collective injury due to exposure or with exposure to race-based stress. When a certain culture, certain people from a certain culture has the tendency to be fooled more often, when we take the instance of racial profiling, when excessive force tends to be used on our kids because they are viewed as being superhuman, more tolerant to pain, then that creates what's called racial trauma. What is trauma in of itself? Trauma is a deep or distressing experience. Trauma happens when there is an overwhelming amount of stress that exceeds one's ability to cope. Even in the DSM-5, most recent DSM, trauma and stress has its own classification as trauma and stress-related disorders. And part of those disorders, you will find post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. You will find injury, anxiety, psychological stress, depression, and etc. Trauma can be viewed as a consequence of the emotional pain that a person may feel after he or she encounters racism. There are different forms of racism. You have racial racism, you have hostility, you have discriminatory racism. So all of those create what then called complex trauma. Complex trauma refers to traumatic events that are repetitive and ongoing. It is no secret that police brutality, the killing of our young black men and women are happening more often than not, and as of late, a lot lately. Often, complex trauma takes place in the context of a caregiving relationship or other trusted adults. Our policemen and the people of society should be people whom we can trust with our kids. When our kids are lost, when they need information, they should be able to approach the police. But we'll see later on they are less likely to do that because of this overall fear. When there's an interaction with of black young men or women, oftentimes it escalates into something tragic when it didn't have to be that way. And complex trauma also have a significant impact on how a youth develops. A lot of our kids are still young. They're still in that place where developmentally they are still growing. So when trauma happens, when they're experiencing or seeing so much trauma, so much hate going chronologically, but developmentally, he or she may be stuck at the age where the trauma happens. So trauma, complex trauma is basically the repetitive, the cumulatively trauma of interpersonal harm and maltreatment that happens to youth at a vulnerable age when they are transitioning, especially during their adolescence. So trauma can happen in various ways, various settings. That's why oftentimes some of our kids they have experienced they have been poly victimized. Poly means several. It could be police brutality. It could be racism. It could be community violence. It could be the exposure to domestic violence or intimate partner violence. It could be physical, sexual abuse, bullying, you name it. So our kids, on a given moment, they are being traumatized over and over again. And even if the event does not happen to a particular black person, according to Dr. Ventaramani, he is an assistant professor of medical ethics and health policy at the University of Pennsylvania. In 2008, he did a study where he found that vicarious trauma, or what we call secondary traumatic stress, can happen even if the instance, the killing was not a family member. If everybody in that state, every black person in that state, was affected based on that killing. Therefore, vicariously, we are being affected mentally. Our mental well-being is at risk because we are witnessing our brothers and sisters getting treated in that way. So, vicarious trauma is basically an empathic engagement where you open your heart to understand the lived experiences of people who have been through victimization, devastation, any sort of violence. So what happens to one of us affects all of us. So trauma. Trauma can be experienced in one of three ways. Watch out for your kids with everything, the news, social media, the news spread everything about racial justice, police brutality, killing. That trauma can manifest in one of three ways, and us or our kids. The first one is intrusion, where you will start having thoughts or images that intrude and that interrupt your daily activity. What you were able to do, you're not able to do anymore because those thoughts, those images. Imagine picturing the officer's knee on George Floyd's neck for about minutes. That picture will not leave a lot of our kids, and therefore they are traumatized as a result of that. Another way trauma can manifest is hyperarousal. Nou ka wè si moun nan li pa ka dormi, li agite fasil, li gen dificulte pou konsantre, sa se yon nan jan trauma, shock ka afekte si moun nan. The third way is avoidance, numbing. Ou ka wè si moun nan li ka vin kè polis, li wè polis, li ka kembe paran, dapwè sa wè li vin pa gen yon konfians ke polis lan la pou proteje l. Li ka pe yon seri de plak ki gen yon incident rive at a particular place, they may be avoiding that place because every time they will go to that place or see that place, it reminds them of what took place. Another thing is negative alterations of cognition and their mood. You will see a change in the way that they think and the way that they feel. Some of them may the stress may be so overwhelming that they have depressive symptoms. So trauma can affect us in one in three ways. Not all of us will manifest it the same way, but be watchful for which one are you seeing in your case. So with trauma, trauma stems from stress, of course. What is stress? I've been saying that word for a little bit now. Stress is basically the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or response. The body reacts to those changes with physical, emotional, and mental responses. So basically, stress plays a huge role in risk-based trauma. Research has shown that stress levels increase when an event is perceived as ambiguous, negative, uncontrollable, and unpredictable. That's according to Carter 2007. So when we don't know what's about to happen, a young black man is stopped by the police. Um, let's say, God forbid, he has something petty on him, thinking that he's gonna go to prison. At that moment, as I'm gonna show you um, in a little minute, he's not thinking clearly. As a result, his thinking has been impaired, and he is more likely to act in a way that he wouldn't have normally acted because his stress level has increased, and as a result, he finds himself in an unpredictable situation. Stress, I must say, is a normal part of life. We all go through stressful situations. A lot of us, when we're about to do a presentation, when we're about to do something big, we are stressed. That's a good and healthy stress. So stress can be viewed on a continuum. There are two sides to stress. On one end, we have the normative, the healthy stress. That helps us build resiliency and coping skills. It helps us to adapt to situations and to use coping skills to help us overcome. On the other end of that continuum, we have the stress that is chronic, toxic, when it's frequent and prolonged, then it becomes a problem. And for our kids who are still young, it will impact their brain development. As research has shown, the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. So our kids who are younger than 25, their brains are still being developed, and for them to be experiencing so much trauma based on their race, that is very impactful. Ça vraiment affecte le cerveau et qui j'en cerveau continue à développer. D'après scientifique, cerveau yon moun faut pas si développer pas avant que ou bien 25 ans. So ça important pour parents yo connaît le petit moun yo exposé à trop choc, trop trauma, ou après ça affecte qui genre cerveau développé. So, à cause de ça, après, nous avons si mon hyper vigilant, si mon toujours senti en danger, il a peur, il toujours à checker pour environnement, pour aussi environnement safe, ou avons your overstimulation too. That is an extreme irritability. You can see the kid as jaded or wound up, extreme fear. So all of those are signs that our kids are very stressed, and the stress has begun to manifest itself in a way that is traumatic. So the way stress stress works, um, basically when we feel that we are in danger, the body, the central nervous system has what's called the fight, flight, or freeze system. That system is there to help us respond. It's a built-in system that is here to help us respond when we feel that we are in danger. What happens is that in your brain, the hypothalamus gets the ball rolling. It sends signal to the adrenaline gland, then release the hormone cortisol to help the body regulate itself. Um, when when you experiencing a stressful situation, you may see yourself having increased heart rate, cœur à battre fort, vous sentir en danger, ou pas qu'à respirer bien. Tout ça fait partie de réaction corps. Nous parlons de hypothalamus, hippocampus. By ça, dans le cerveau, nous localisons dans le prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is basically the executive brain. It is in charge of our thinking, our perception of things, and how we make meaning. So if our thalamus, hypothalamus is affected, it's basically about how do we find balance. It is the balance system in our brain. If our hippocampus is affected, it basically regulates our memory, recollection. So if we have bad memories about our interactions with the police, when I see a police officer, when I'm stopped, so now I have my hypothalamus acting up, I have my hippocampus light up, I have my prefrontal cortex. There's a lot because I don't feel safe. I feel that I'm I'm pressured. I don't know what's gonna happen during that interaction with the police. So my heart rate is going to increase. I have heart rate and blood pressure increasing as well, and then I have my adrenaline, and then the cortisol is there to sort of help regulate stimulates that. So yes, stress is a disease of the brain. Just like depression, just like PTSD, there are different parts of the brain that affect when we find ourselves in stressful situations. So with that said, we've talked about police brutality, the likelihood of our black kids dying from an interaction is way higher than a white kid. We talked about the overrepresentation. We talked about the role our structure, our policies have played into the way racial trauma comes about and racism. Now, what are the implications? The implications of racism and police brutality, one of the very key ones, is a public health issue. Police brutality and racism affect have an adverse effect on the health of us Black Americans. Whether you identify as Haitian, Jamaican, African American, we all are affected one way or another. I talked about the damaging effects earlier from the study from Dr. Bentakarani, where he found that we all are impacted when something happens in our state, and to be even broader when something happens in the United States, even if it's not in our state, we find ourselves being impacted. Another implication is that there is a sense of distrust and resentment in our system, feeling that our system are not designed in a way to have our back. So we have our young black men and women or black people, we are less willing to engage when it comes to talking to the police. You will have negative outlook on law enforcement personnel. Now, not all police officers are bad. Not all police department have racist people. I mean, always have racist people, but not all are racist. We have to have that disclaimer. However, based on research and our lived experiences, the way we are viewed in society, the way we are at a disadvantage in everything with all the disparities we've experiencing, we are less trusting of our system and of the police officers who are supposed to be policing our community and helping us. So there are a lot of implications, and the meaning that is being ascribed to racism and police brutality leaves us in a bind. So, with all that said, how do you cope with racial trauma? Well, there are four ways one can cope with racial trauma. The first one, recognize the impact of this stressor. Know how this particular event is affecting you. Many killings are happening. There will be some that affect you more than others. So know how you're being affected personally. When you know that, you'll be able to find effective coping skills that will help you to cope. Another one way you can cope is through meditation. Meditation as people of God, as young people, nous connaissons, prier travail. Le bon problème, nous prier et dans toute présentation toujours comme toujours dit non, don't get it twisted, pray your work. But as as much as you pray your work, God has placed professionals in our midst with different specialties. When we need something to help balance, we're praying, we're meditating, we're using our mindfulness technique, we're using our affirmation, self-love, self-compassion. There are some instances when the trauma is so great that you have to see a professional, whether it be a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist. You have to see a professional to be able to talk and practice what's going on with you. Be honest about how you're feeling with others. Just have people whom you trust where you can go and have some check-in. For me at work, I'm a clinical director for a substance abuse place where young adolescent males between the ages of 13 to 18, they find themselves not only in trouble with the law, but they have co-occurring disorders where they have mental health issues and substance abuse. So when I walk the hall, everyone, that's a beer, that's a beer, that's a beer, that's a beer. Sometimes they do their check-in with me as a director. I don't have direct interaction with them daily, but I have my thing. They come in my office, right on the board. They're checking, so they take it so seriously. Be honest about how you're feeling. There was this one day I was just name is being called. Imagine there's 40 of them. My name is being called left and right, and then one was like, "What's wrong, Dr. Pierre?" I'm like, "I'm not with you today." So normally we do our checking from 0 or 1 to 10, and I just say it just to say so they can leave me alone. But the next minute, I'm telling that everybody was on their best behavior. I'm like, what's going on with my kids? What's going on with that? And I even, oh, Dr. Yes, I got to see one today. So she's not feeling too well. So I was like, my God, so they do take it to heart. So when they come into you as a professional, they let you know that they are the one, they are the two. It is our job to know this is how we're going to go about helping them. So be honest about how you feel. Let people know. Have people whom you trust you can check in with. Number 4, have time to unplug. Refrain from listening to the news 24/7. Have time to unplug. Um, have time to do things that you enjoy. Have time to be with your family. Have time to do activities that you do with your friends. And for the parents, be gracious to yourself. We don't always have to be productive every day. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to have a little moment where you're just gonna sit and do nothing. And that 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 can be the most productive thing you do for yourself. I know it is embedded in us to push through. We are resilient people, and as a result, especially us black females, we are seen as super superwoman. We have the strong black woman syndrome. We don't know when to take a step back and how to take care of ourselves. So in order for us to be of help to our youth, our kids, our young people having so many questions, we have to find ways for us to know how to regulate ourselves, how to be in tune with ourselves, um, so that we can better help our kids. So for the parents, some tips that I can give you to help you cope with trauma: provide a sense of safety to your kids. It is very important, even with everything that is going on in the world, that they know that when they come home, they are safe. When you are approached by them, act in a calm manner. They like to be reassured that their parents, adults that whom they trust or have relationships with, are able to help answer some of their questions. So don't panic, be calm, just hear them out. Maintain daily routine. It is very important for you to maintain as much as possible, to maintain the daily routine that you used to do prior to all this COVID-19, prior to everything that's happening, as much as you can, as much as um, this environment will allow you, because with that, the kids, at least in their home, they'll have stability. Help them find activities again that they enjoy to help them regulate themselves. Share information with them that are age appropriate. Have mature and open discussions. Oftentimes, when we don't understand certain things for ourselves as adults, we're like, I don't know what to do. So when the kids come to you, you tend to push them away. But be there. The best thing you can do to them at this time is to listen to them. Listen to them non-judgmentally. Don't give them a lecture. Just be there. Just be understanding. Oftentimes, all they want is to feel heard, to be heard. And be honest. It's okay to say that I don't know. We don't know everything. So if a certain question is posed to you, you don't know, it's okay to say that you don't know, but your job as the parent is to find that answer. And if that answer surpasses you, then you have your community church leaders, you have other professionals, other people who can help you. Yes, with everything going on, we are affected in a way that we've never seen before when it's happening so frequently and in such demeaning ways to our young men and women. But we know that we have our God who is one day come and bring real justice to every harm, every hurt that was done to us and our kids. In the meantime, let's have an open space where we can talk about how these trauma, these traumas, especially particularly gender-based, race-based trauma, on the psychological effects of racial trauma and police brutality.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tia. I don't think many of us ever understand how deep in the mental core it affects us all. And some of the points that you hit right home, even with us as adults and who's older, you don't think it affects us until certain things trigger. You hit something that is so fundamental. A lot of the young people and even older have now been conscious of what's going on. I'm not going to lie, my eyes are way wide open. Even if I pass by a certain group of unfortunate race, white people, let's be honest, you tend to go, well, are you here? Are you on my side? You have questions that's flying through. So I'm just so blessed and honored that you were able to touch that and hit both sides, not just the young people who you've given okay for them to understand that, look, your feelings are well validated, but also for the adults to understand why they feel that way and that they too can be affected. So just thank you so much. We're definitely if any of you guys have questions, please hold your questions towards the end so we won't miss it. And if you have a question that's going to go directly for Dr. Pierre, just make sure you put Dr. Pierre next to it and then ask questions. I will make sure that those who are doing the questioning will address that to her. So thank you. So now we're going to move on to our next panelist, Officer Pecan. Oh man, I'm so excited. He is definitely going to touch a very touchy portion of the subject, all about the how do we interact, what do we do, and I'm just so blessed to have one of our own even in the midst of this profession so that he can be able to tell us. And he's been in the law enforcement for 15 years, so he's seen a lot clearly. And he's worked as the transit police officer, a community-oriented police officer, criminal investigator, school resource officer. He has a BS in criminal justice and a master of public administration degree. Currently working on a criminal injustice for the state of Georgia. So clearly, he has seen something that he is going to share with us, for how and what we should do. Officer,
Thank you for having me on this panel. Thank you for everybody to be there. Thank you again for inviting me. I'm my qualification. But I wanted to take the time to talk to our youth. As Edwin just stated, I've been in law enforcement for 15 years. I work as a criminal investigator where I actually investigated for a district attorney for the Fulton County District Attorney, and I investigated police officers involved shooting. So I left about 2 years ago, and had I not left, I would have been in the midst of the Rayshard shooting. It's a very complicated process. Police officers at that level, it's a very complicated process. You have to take your time. You have to go, to make sure that you have everything that you need, because police officers are put under certain umbrella. And it frustrates a lot of people. When you see a police officer out there treat people like open like this and they want to see justice, that's a little bit different. Before I go out to start, I want to remind everybody that police injustice has been going on for years, for decades, but against black people. Can you hear me?
it's a little on the staticky side. A certain area or location that's kind of bothering me. Take it off the radio.
majority of our contact police officers, majority of our contacts with police officers is we traffic stops. Those of us that drive, and that's pretty much the means of contact from police officers to the public. Majority of us got to get in our cars, or even if we get on public transit, we got to get out and get away from home and travel. Police officers use, tactics, to stop us, and some of the traffic stops, or majority of the traffic stops, I will say that are legitimate traffic stops. If you run a red light, you will get, if a police officer is around, you will get stopped. When I did community policing, in our post city, I stopped at least anywhere between 8 to 12 people a day, and all I did is just sit somewhere out in the parking lot, or if I was sitting in a light, they'll just run to the light, run to the stop sign, speeding, and I just issue a traffic stop. The thing with the traffic stop is you have to be very careful when a police officer pull you over, and here's the reason: your demeanor determines how your interaction with the police officer, how the police officer will treat you, is majority of the time is based on your demeanor. And I pull you over and I'm like, hey, my name is Officer Khan. The reason why I pull you over is because you ran to the stop sign, or you ran a red light. May I have your driver's license and insurance card, please? Yes, police officer. Yes, Officer Khan, I didn't see that. I ran the light. My apologies. Let me get you the information that you need. Here you go. When you're into a police officer like this, he might be like, he was kind of nice. And he'll go back to his car. He'll run your tag, run your driver's license. And like I did many times, I can't tag, and I'm like, then you're going to get a warning. After a day, you're going to say, oh, thank you. And keep it moving. Bring your driver's license. When you being stopped by a police officer, and what I just say doesn't always happen, that you can be nice to a police officer and he still treat you like garbage. Some of the police officers out there are just like, they're just garbage. They're just bad, dirty cops. Some of them are racist. So it doesn't matter how nice you are to them, they'll still treat you like you're nobody. But at least you have been cordial, and that's what's important. A lot of people feel like if they get treated by a police officer on the side of the road or anywhere, they need to talk back, they need to curse at the police officer because it's their First Amendment right, they can say whatever they say. Yeah, you might be able to say whatever you want to say to a police officer, but remember, you cannot you cannot see justice being done to this police officer if you did. You can't see it. So if you're on the side of the road by yourself, or even if you're with other family members, then you get into a fight with the police officer, whether or not the shooting is justified, you can't see justice if you did. So the goal is to live today, fight tomorrow. And I say it all the time: you live today, you fight tomorrow. You wanna, if any issue that you have with a police officer, you want to go to court. You want to go back to the police department, file a complaint. If they're not doing anything about it, which is majority of the time, you want to reach out to your politicians, the people that you voted for, talk to them. They have the means, they have to do to make sure that justice is served. Another good thing that's being done, the technology has evolved is cameras. Your cameras. The police officer will, should have their camera turned on, but they don't always do that. I've seen police officers, some of the departments have cameras in their cars where as soon as your blue lights are turned on, as soon as your police officer opens its door, the cameras will turn on. Officers have found ways around it, so it doesn't always happen that way. So train. A lot of people will add, well, see, well, this guy had a knife. The officer didn't have to shoot him. He had a knife. He had a baton. The officers are not trained on hand-to-hand combat with somebody. So if you have a knife, I'm not. I could use a taser, but that's not what they recommend. You have to go a knife. A taser is not sufficient enough to stop somebody from to stop the threat. So as an officer, you have to go to a higher, and the ultimate weapon that we, police officers have are their weapons, their firearms. So they have to go to, and they may not have any, they may try to de-escalate the process. Some of us do, but it doesn't always work that way, But the goal is as if you keep your cool, and then like I said, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always like that. And we've seen it on TV. Um, uh, Eric Garner, got killed, was selling a cigarette. Breonna Taylor got shot in her sleep. Didn't even know what was going on. You got a whole lot of other people out here that despite the fact that they are, cordial to police officers, they still being mistreated. And some of the police officers, even if they know that what they're doing to you is wrong, they feel like they covered under the law and know there's nobody to go back and say they did wrong, so they're gonna keep doing it. So you have to. Your goal is to stay alive, so you can tell your side of the story. You can fight them in court. If you can go to court, or you can start a complaint on this police officer, we can get a fire, we can get the badge and the gun, the ability to be a cop, to serve as a cop in this country. We can take that ability away from them. They can go to jail. The agency that they work for, we can sue the agency that they work for. You can sue the cop as well. All of that can be done, and you can see it happen if you're alive. The other thing that I think is very important is people need to know their rights. You have to know your rights. You have to know, and I said it. I mean, I came to this country. I was, raised, born and raised Haitian. When I came here, I started coming here going to New York when I was like 14 years old. And the first couple of weeks I was there, I saw it. Police officers and NYPD officers. Just used to come. We were just standing outside talking, and they used to come just 12 people against the wall and start patting them for drugs, for guns. They have they have the they can do that, especially if you stay in a crime infested area. They can do that. We know the laws. The war on drugs is essentially the war on drugs. The crime bill, well, 1994, the federal government, I think Bill Clinton actually signed that bill. That was done to specifically to target, and they came out and they talked about it was done specifically to target minorities, especially black people. The war on drugs, doesn't work, but they use it to get to us. So it gives them a lot of ability, to move around and stop people, stop and freeze. People hear that all the time. Officers stop and freeze. In some states like New York, yeah, they have that as a law where they can do it. But what studies have shown is they minorities, especially blacks and Hispanics, are stopped a whole lot of times than any other race. So you have to know your law. You have to know your rights. You have to, when you go out there and vote, you have to know the people that you're voting for, what do they support. Don't go out there and vote for somebody that is going to go and vote for more laws against minorities. Just don't do that. Know the law. Be be respectful. If you're driving down the street, I mean, I've done it. I mean, sometimes you're in a hurry. You're speeding. You run to a light. You run to a stop sign. It's dangerous. Um, don't be out there drinking and driving. I mean, that's just a no-no. Police officers are, majority, I can tell about 99% of the time, they're not even going to touch your break. You have to do your homework. Our parents have to do their job as well. It starts at home. It's good that the church is actually, I know when I was growing up, the parents do their work, the church did a portion, the school, make sure that we had our education and everything else. We did it. Parents have to do the job. I'm glad that the church put this program together so our youth can actually get a sense of what's going on, and it's great. But parents, we have to sit down and talk to our kids. Majority of the time, and I'm talking to as well, even when I work as a school resource officer, I talk to the kids all the time. The way you, especially for minorities, and it's unfortunate, is the way that you dress also determines your interaction with police officers. If you're wearing gang paraphernalia, like you're wearing red scarf or tied around your knee or your arms around your bandana, it's a sign that you may think it's fashionable, but it's a sign when police officers are looking at you, they're like, okay, this kid is probably affiliated with some gang, and as they approach you for whatever reason, they on high alert because they know that this gang is very dangerous. They shoot at anybody, especially police officers. So they try to be on high alert, even if you just a young kid, you just in school, you just trying to be cool with some of these guys, and you're not part of the gang. Avoid wearing some of that stuff. The way you dress says a lot about who you are. And I know a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's just fashion. Yeah, it's fashion, but there's a limit to it. When you get out of the house, dress properly. When you open your mouth out there in the streets, just be respectful. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All of that comes into play. And even if you do everything right, there's no guarantee that one day you're gonna be pulled, or you're gonna get pulled over by a police officer. There's no guarantee that police officer will treat you the way that you're supposed to be treated. Police brutality against black folks is real. Some of it, I've seen black police officers actually hurting black kids. So it's not just racism. You got your dirty cops, that could be of any ethnicity, and then you got your racist cops, that could be just about any ethnicity as well. You have to be very careful. You got black police officers that will hurt you, Hispanic police officers that will hurt you. You got cops that are like dirty, and then you got the white cops that are like racist. They don't get, and they're not just racist towards the community that they serve. They are also racist towards the police officers that they work with. Because they know police officers, the good police officers cannot stand dirty cops. People may think that good police officers are they in bed with the bad cops? I have never, and I've denounced it many times. I have never. I've actually confronted some of the dirty cops that I used to work with when they did something stupid in front of me. We can't stand them, and we stand up to them on a regular basis. You have, there's no guarantee that they're going to treat you right, but you have to do your part as well. It's what we're seeing out here is not going to stop. In the past month, we've seen a lot of police officers actually quitting their departments. We've seen other police officers being fired. For what's been going on, and they go on Facebook, they rant about it, they mad because they feel like they should be able to do whatever they want. So it's gonna keep going. But we have to do our part. It would be nice if we could limit our interactions with police officers, but sometimes it's just inevitable. It just happens. You can be going to the store. I mean, you can be walking, driving down the street. Um, Police officers responding to a robbery in progress, and they see a car. Sometimes it's funny. They may say, "Hey, it's a black car," you know, and then they see your car, and then it's a black car with a black man, and they see a white car with a black man, and they're like, "Yeah, that must be he's the only black man in the community." Even if they say it's a black car, they'll still stop you in the white car. And when that happens, you have to understand that they're on high alert. Even if it's a mistaken identity, they gonna act they're gonna act crazy. So you have to maintain your cool. You have to be cordial. Um, and I know it's tough when we're being abused and we just don't do it. You can't do anything about it. Uh, but fighting the police officer or one, two, or three of them, fighting them is not gonna be it's not gonna end well because they have the law on their side. They pretty much tell them, hey, if you encounter that kind of force, when you're dealing with a person out there, you have to use greater force to neutralize them, and they do that. Yeah, we've seen many instances where white police officers have dealt with white folks, and the treatment is very different. I can't tell you how many times that I've seen it, and I'm like, I can't believe it. It happened. It happened. Um, they deal with members with their own members better than they deal with us. And one thing I've seen, and I've seen it over and over and over again, police department, the police force should reflect the community that they serve. There should be no reason why you live in a predominantly black community and your police force is predominantly white. They've learned there is it, it's hard for white police officers to or a black police department to if the communities are not if the police department doesn't reflect the community that they serve, it's hard to have a good police community relationship, established. It's very hard to have one, because of the difference in culture, the difference in addition, the difference of, I've responded to a lot of calls, where I reacted totally different dealing with black folks or even Hispanic folks. I reacted totally different from the way that a white police officer would have reacted. That's because I know my people. I'm not afraid of them. I can sit and I can stand. I can deal with a black man arguing with me on the side of the road. He wants to force himself. I can understand him. The white police officer don't want that because you start talking louder and louder. He perceives it as a threat, and he reacts differently. So that's why it's very important for us to know how to deal. Um, I will be able to elaborate more. I'm just gonna stop right here because I'm running out of time. I mean, I can go on and on. And, again, I appreciate the opportunity. If you guys have questions, let's go ahead and start because I know it's getting late.
Thank you so much. It's just, like I said, it's an honor to hear you.
Hold on, just one second.
Yeah, it's an honor to hear you be able to show and to let us know what you see and what you have to deal with every single time. Being out there, first of all want to thank you because we know that's a hard job and that's your life on the line. But we definitely thank you because you are explaining to us what you see, what you have to deal with every single day. And we just want to thank you and we're praying for you. The questionnaire is not going to start yet. However, if you feel like you have to, and I know you're in the middle of you really did squeeze this in with us. So if you're not able to, but thank you once again. Thank you for your service. You are amazing. And thank you for sharing the truth. because we have to just be honest. How we dress, what we say, what we do. And as much as we want to be in the balance, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, let's be honest, he's giving you guys the facts. So we're going to move on, but we have our amazing Haitian coordinator, Pastor Jean-Luc Toussaint, who's going to come and present our last two segments, and we'll move on.
Thank you, President. I want to join my voice to you and say thank you to our two former guests. And actually, this is my privilege to introduce to you Dr. Daniel Honoré, the president of Northeastern Conference. Dr. Daniel Honoré, president Northeastern Conference and Seventh-day Adventist. Pastor Daniel Honoré has served as president of the Northeastern Conference since June 2012. Prior to that, he served 8 years as stewardship and church services director for the conference. His pastoral ministry began in 1995 when called to pastor the Bracton Temple and Ben Emmanuel Franco-Haitian churches in Massachusetts. During his pastorate, he baptized 150 souls and founded the Bracton Area SDA Academy, which today claims over 130 students. Pastor Honoré is a second-generation conference worker. His father, the late Lamartine Honoré, served as a pastor in the Northeastern Conference, and his late mother, Celia, as a teacher with the Education Department. Daniel was born in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, to a Haitian father and a Dominican mother. Growing up in a pastoral family involved relocation and exposure to various cultures, as a result, he became fluent in English, French, Haitian Creole, and Spanish. Pastor Honoré received the call to ministry at a young age, pursued a bachelor's degree in theology from Washington Adventist University, and subsequently a bachelor's degree in history from Southern Adventist University. He then obtained a Juris Doctorate from Ohio Northern University. He recently graduated from Montemorelos University with a PhD in Business Administration. Prior to engaging in full-time ministry, Pastor Honoré operated a law practice specializing in immigration law with 2 offices in Boston, Massachusetts. Recently, Pastor and Sister Fritzy Honoré celebrated 30 years of marriage. Sister Fritzy, MSN, serves as nurse informatician for a hospital system in Long Island. They are parents of 3 young adult sons and 1 daughter. They are parents of 3 young adult sons and 1 daughter. Gamaliel and Nathaniel have graduated from Oakwood University, while Gabriel and Daniel continue their studies at the Huntsville campus. Pastor Honoré counts it a blessing and a
the use of the Lord through the Northeastern Conference. As the Apostle Paul, he proclaims, unto me, who am less than the least of all saints, is this great event that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ. It's my privilege and honor for me to introduce our Pastor, President, Dr. Honoré. Doc, we don't hear you. We don't hear you, Doc.
Can't hear you. Unfortunately, your voice sounds a little squeaky. I don't know if there's something on the mic or
Is this any better here?
awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. It's a pleasure and a joy to join you this afternoon as you cover an important topic. I want to thank my friend, Pastor Toussaint, for inviting me to be with you. I quickly want to cover two areas. I don't know how much time I'm allotted, but let's get to it right away. It is a pleasure. For many years before getting an active ministry, I was a lawyer in Boston, as the pastor has said, and that many times I was called to be a public defender. I had a contract with the state to defend indigent cases, and it broke my heart to see so many young Haitian Americans in trouble with the law. It broke my heart to see parents who are trying their best on minimum wage and their kids making them spend money. So, and legal services. So today, I think Officer Pican did a wonderful job with the law. And what I would say legally from a standpoint is that you never want to get into a fight with the police. Resisting a police officer is a crime in itself. If you're being arrested, do not resist. Submit, and as he mentioned, you will get your chance to fight another day. You do have rights when you're arrested, and the most important one, you've seen it on all the television shows, is your Miranda warning. You have the right to remain silent. Once the police take you into custody, other than giving your name, you do not have to give any other information. You can say, I need to speak with my lawyer, and they are obliged, they are obligated to respect your right to remain silent. You have the right to consent, to refuse to a search, a body search. Can we search you? You can say no, and they have to respect your right. Can they come into your house without a warrant? Absolutely not. We grew up in a society with parents who came from an oppressive regime in Haiti, perhaps, who thought that where there were no human rights. The police did whatever they wanted, and you had to submit or get beaten up in jail. So that's not the law here. They cannot enter your house without a warrant. They have to show you the warrant, and you have certain rights. So it's good to know those rights. The American Civil Liberties on their website has some of that, and you can see and read what your rights are. But this afternoon, I want to spend a little more time talking about Adventism, Seventh-day Adventism. What is our role in protesting police brutality? Is there a place for Adventist voices in the public debate that is going on right now? Many people feel that it is absolutely wrong to get engaged in discourse about social justice. They say that's politics. Adventists don't get involved in politics. Adventists don't protest. We need to just to pray about it and stay out of I just want to go back and give you a historical perspective of what the Adventist role has been when it comes to um, justice, social justice issues, issues of liberty, issues of denouncing violence, issues of denouncing abuses of civil rights. I do believe that there is a role for the church to participate. Unfortunately, again, I think there's a disconnect between the generation of Haitian Americans who were born here or came here young and their parents' generation, which were protection, shunned many times from discussion. If you were in Haiti growing up during the Duvalier regime or other regimes, you knew you better not say a word or you could get your family killed. And because of that, in our Haitian churches, there's a reluctance to understand that the Bible compels us to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves and to address issues. The civil rights movement in this country would not have gone anywhere if it were not for the people of morality, of conscience who stood up and spoke up and denounced the injustices. When you read the story of Dr. King and the civil rights movement, it was mostly in Baptist churches, Methodist churches, and AME churches or Church of God in Christ. These are all black churches that stood up and spoke for their people. So I believe we as a church have a social responsibility to engage. So for the next few minutes, I will be sharing with you a presentation that I prepared, and afterward, at this time, we can take questions and answers. Um, I'm going to go from the beginning a little fast, so we don't lose too much time. And I use the example of John the Baptist, who in his day spoke to a corrupt society, and he could stand erected fairness before earthly monarchs because he bowed low to the King of Kings. That is taken from the book Desire of Ages. And when people came to him and asked him, what should we do? And the supplications came to be baptized and said, Master, what should we do? And the soldiers, black and white, came to him and asked him, what shall we do? People came to him because he had a moral standard, he spoke a language that no one else was speaking. We live in the United States, and our prophetic understanding says that this is the land of freedom, a land like these coming out of the earth, land that was founded on principles of liberty, the first 5 amendments to the Constitution, freedom to assemble, freedom to speak, freedom to bear weapons, freedom to express ourselves, freedom of association. It started with the first children. You have to go back to the Civil Rights Movement even before Seventh-day Adventist Church came into being and to the days of William Miller. William Miller was a precursor to the Adventists. He started preaching on the return of Christ, and he defended runaway slaves. On one occasion, the slave was sent to Miller's farm with the hope that he could feed him and direct him to heaven. And it seems clear that Miller actively helped that slave to run away. Charles Finch, another Millerite, published a tract which said, slave only, weight in the balance of truth and its comparative guilt movement. He argued that slavery was as bad or worse than liquor trafficking, theft, robbery, murder, and treason. Charles Finch was one of the early Adventist preachers. Joshua Hyde, Frederick Douglass, this is an early Adventist. Frederick Douglass described him and said that while he was at the convention, the evangelical alignment, Hyde spoke vigorously against slaveholders. He was the only American to make the anti-slave position. Joseph Bates is one of the main founders now of the actual Seventh-day Adventist Church. After the civil rights there, Joseph Bates
and one our junior, barbecue, some of it. And of course, we were taking something, I don't know which drink it was, that make us not feel drunk and have us, continue drinking. So we are drinking, I got drunk. One reason I remember is that I was going through the life, I was going through the world. Actually, we it was 5 or 6 of us, then we got to that club in Denmark, and it was just us. So they let us play our music, they let us do whatever we want to do. So it was late night, and we were like just partying, just drinking, dancing, making noise, making jokes, talking about our boss and stuff. And the funny thing is that I had to drive after that. So we stayed a little bit, we keep drinking water, and we got on the road. I was still a little bit tipsy, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go driving slow and slow and slow. But the moment I know, I think it was supposed to take me 15 minutes to get home, but it took me 10 minutes because I was driving so fast. I was drinking water and driving fast. It was fun, actually. It was fun. I don't like to dance in public a lot, but that day, I just can't forget it. I just go wild and dance. Whoever was there, we dance together, we had fun and stuff.
Dr. Honoré, we don't. I think you might have lost connection. We don't hear you at this time. Okay, we'll give it a minute for Dr. Honoré to jump back in. This is unfortunate because, it was going great and just learning the history of our pioneer standing against injustice and racism was a really good start. But we will definitely wait for him to come back on in a little bit. But I hope you guys are generating questions at this time to kind of get started. So after Dr. Onue come back on and definitely jump in and finish his presentation, our last person will be Pastor we will start having questions. So please, at this time, get on YouTube, Facebook, or if you want to start sending questions to your youth directors, because they are here representing. Love my youth directors. Thank you so much, all of you guys, for my youth directors to be here. But definitely start sending those questions in, start having those questions on the chat so that I and the VP, Samuel, can definitely start looking through and actually, so we can get going real quick with our question and answer session. We're going to wait a little bit. If he does not come on in a few seconds, we more than likely might go to our next panel. But I really do hope he comes on because it was really, really good. Just explanation. Yes, good, great. Yes, because we were just saying how awesome you're the beginning of just showing that our pioneers that was a big something that wasn't. We didn't want it to go away. But that's technology. Technology, you never have a mind. It has a mind of its own, I should say. So, yep, take it over. Thank you.
Okay, I don't remember at which point I left you. I think I may have been talking for a bit. So I'm going to just try to ask closer to where we were. And I do need permission to share my screen from the host.
Okay.
He will do that now.
Okay.
I believe the last place was John Offroad.
Okay. Great. So let's go a little backward. I left you with Lowborough, and I was mentioning that he was the reason why we have Adventism in Haiti. So he was one of the voices that cried out against slavery in the early end of the church. And then we have Uriah Smith, who linked the practice of slavery. Uriah Smith wrote the initial Adventist prophecies, books about Daniel and Revelation. He was the editor of the Adventist Review, and he found slavery to be very revolting. So he linked it. He said that this is America, the lamb-like beast became a dragon because of this slavery. He described as a black and revolting iniquity, which any nation pretending to be civilized repudiates and hastens to cleanse its hands of. Then we have John Andrews. John Andrews is the very first missionary that the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the United States sent overseas to Europe. We talk about Andrews University. It's named after John Andrews. Andrews mocked the Constitution, lost claims of equality, and criticized, saying that the same government that utters the sentiment in the face of that this declaration will hold in active servitude over 3.2 million human beings, rob them of their rights, which they acknowledge that all men are endowed and created equal by their Creator. The institution of slavery is more especially manifested thus far, the dragon spirit that dwells among the hearts of this hypocritical nation. James White, the husband of Eleanor. James White pointed to slavery as the cause of the Civil War, and he argued that the cause of the federal government could not be achieved unless it removed the diabolical iniquity So when I was in law school, the case of Mary Kay Silver versus Pacific Great Press was taught in our law class because that's when the Supreme Court said that the Seventh-day Adventist Church had to pay women if they're in the same position as a man, the same salary. It's a shame that it was the state that forced the church to live up to their moral obligation. I'm getting into the more modern times now. Brown versus Board of Education agreed that you could not have separate schools, separate could no longer be equal. At the turn of the 20th century, Plessy versus Ferguson ruled that separate could be equal, and that's what created Jim Crow for so many years in this country that allowed for segregation and separate services. But back in the late 1950s, in the little Rock 9, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, the first 9 students to integrate, one of them was a Seventh-day Adventist. Terrence Roberts was a young boy when he attended Central High School. He was accompanied by the National Guard because the racists did not want the schools to integrate. Today, he lives in the Los Angeles area. He's an old man now. That was some 40 to 50 years ago. But he regrets that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is not as active as it should be in claiming or defending civil rights because we have a great health message. We talk about avoiding alcohol and tobacco in the state. It's aggravating to see the church fall short in areas of human justice when we all have these good things going on. Shame. Adventist Mr. Peter and Matthew, so you say that the racial issue was a major factor? He says, no, absolutely. Because he doesn't go to church regularly, so he says we still show up from time to time at the Korean church or Mormon church in Los Angeles, but not on a regular basis. This is one of my predecessors, R.T. Hudson, who was president of the Northeastern Conference back in 1962 to about 1966, and he was a community leader before he became conference president. He was the pastor of one of our largest churches in Northeastern Conference, Genesis Church. As a community leader, he led the battle to obtain $21 million from the city of New York to modernize the dilapidated and rat-infested Harlem Hospital years of the 70s. And the way he did this is by marching after church. After church, he told everybody to line up outside, and everybody dressed in their Sabbath day best, walked a few blocks, and had a demonstration in front of Harlem Hospital, which at the time was severely neglected by New York City. And then he gave a rousing speech denouncing the inferior treatment that blacks were receiving in the city. He cited of nearly 2,000 black folks dressed in their Sabbath best, unnerved the local public officials who quickly located some funds to advance reservations. The Seventh-day Adventist Church in the United States right now, according to the Pew Research Center, is the most racially diverse church in the United States. They did a study of all the major religions, and you see that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is 37% white, 32% black, 8% Asian, 15% Latino, and 8% other. There's not another group that is as racially diverse. So we've accomplished some good things at the Adventist Church. We should be proud that we are a diverse church, and yet we have a long way to go. We need to do more to break down the barriers of racism and prejudice and segregation in our own church. We need to do more to speak out for public justice, for social justice. But I just wanted to share this with you. Now, don't let people make you hate your church. We have some good things going. This is one of them. We're a very diverse church. It's just that we need to do some more things. Ellen White wrote that white, and this is what we're living today. She wrote about whites who show masterly authority over blacks. The desire to show their masterly authority over the blacks is still burning in the hearts of many who claim to be God mentions Paul upon that. God is mentioned, prophesying God's message of the disparate treatment that we receive, black and white. Keep in mind that this was written in 1899. And so the church has to say something. This is a statement that is going to stay constant throughout after the death of Roy. And they have said that the Seventh day Adventist conference, we need to learn to do good, to seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the fatherless, lead to the weak. And so this is a strong letter of condemnation. I'm not going to read it all time. You can go on that website and see it. We, as the 9 regional conference presidents, also signed our own declaration denouncing the death of George Floyd. That was a very tragic situation. And some people have criticized that Adventist conference presidents are getting involved, but we feel it is our moral obligation to denounce evil as it is happening. We see that the church is growing more and more willing to become public. The North American division denounced the tragic killings of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and calls for justice in our society. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing. The statement is posted on the website of the North American Division, and it ends saying that our voices represent nearly every community in this country, and they must be heard as we serve to build a broken community with love and compassion. Even Ted Wilson, who would have never done that before, because of some of the resistance he received from black youth and posts on his own Facebook page, felt that he had to come and make a statement. So his statement was one of condolences to the family, asking Adventists to stand together against hatred, prejudice, and violence. So he spoke on behalf of the Adventist Church. You can also find that declaration on the General Conference webpage. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I know we're fighting the time. And so in our conference, we have been participating. We conducted marches. We are letting our voices be heard as Seventh-day Adventists support racial justice. This was a march that we had just a few weeks ago. It led from our conference office to Downstream Park. We had nearly 1,000 young people, mostly young adults, who have been yearning for their voices to be heard in the context of their faith. For too often, if you wanted to speak for justice, you had to do it outside of your church. We feel the young people in our church need a voice. This was the rally that we had at the park, and we knelt down for 8 minutes and 42, just 42 seconds. How incredibly long that is. How somebody could kneel on a human being's neck for that long a period of time is just shocking, appalling. Some of the young people that came out, many non-Adventists joined the march going on out of the conference office. Hundreds of young people Adventists say, enough is enough, we must let our voices be heard. This is another one from Harlem just a few weeks ago. And at that Harlem march, I made about an 8-minute speech. You can find it on our Facebook page if you're interested in watching it. About 8 minutes again, saying that I am here to announce that the Seventh-day Adventist Church stands for justice and equality, and that we must struggle to speak for those who have no voice. Last Sunday we had a group in Boston, all our churches in the Boston area, part of Boston, also marching with me. And so my goal is to see my church that I love, that I believe in its message, stand up and be counted as we struggle for a fairer nation. We know that one day Jesus is coming back to establish a perfect kingdom, and that there will be no perfect kingdom until he comes. But while we're here, we have to struggle for a better world. Do not accept another injustice here on earth, and we must preach the everlasting gospel to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. And you see, our message cannot be only that black lives matter, but that God wants black lives to live eternally in heaven with him. And so we can't get distracted from our mission, but the world must know who we are and what we stand for. And I think I'm going to stop there for now. I could go on for hours because this is a subject that I'm passionate about, but I will respect your time limit and say that as Seventh-day Adventists, we
Thank you. Wow. If anyone had any doubt or question about where we stand, I think you've made it absolutely clear that we call out sin, sin. And it's just a blessing that you are able to come on here and not only show history of the stance of our forefathers and women who were involved in their movement, but all the way to what has been, going on. We definitely have a lot of work to do down here in the South, and we will make that happen. But thank you absolutely so much, Pastor, for facilitating that. That is just a blessing. Um, Definitely our final and tie everything in before we get into our questions. So please prepare questions. Um, Definitely we will after this, I mean not well, close this after, but not that I got down with Pastor of Bethel and Ebenezer and such also amazing life which comes from our young people as well. He is on fire for our young people. He's one of us, let's be honest. He's just such an amazing pastor. Just like all pastors, but definitely just to say that just to pastor. But definitely he is going to find the reality of it all. He's going to put in general where we stand, kind of like what Dr. Onori has started, and then we will go into our questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Backup President. And I would like to also thank the coordinator, and also what a blessing to have Dr. Honore. We are honored by the presence of Dr. Honore and all of our guests who are there, Dr. Chair, and our sister, and everyone who is on that panel. Now, and Pastor Tom, our colleague as well, we are so blessed to be there. So at this point, not much time left in the discussion is very important. So I will summarize what I intended to accomplish and cover already on 6 o'clock. It's time to wrap up. I will tell you now what God says about that because Dr. No is a great job to show us what we as Christians need. And some minds out there maybe you think, okay, these people are not really Christians for them to stand like that. Even if you show that our Adventist people show it. So what's the biblical how God sees all that's happening in our reaction to that? I will start with creation. That's one of the places it began in the Genesis account where we do understand that some people don't really believe in creation, and that's where the problem starts. If you believe in creation, you will understand that racism is out of the question because at creation we only have one mother, one father. So as a white people something, he's my big cousin. As black as someone could be, a white person, we are brothers and sisters. And with this approach to the biblical account, we understand that it's not trusting God and not accepting the biblical context. Because one thing is clear, we may have facts, but fact does not mean it's true. The truth is revealed by the Word of God. And I will choose out of many some of the biblical context where God would present His view on racism, on separation, and all of these things. That can help us. I will not follow my script as I intended to for the interest of time. I will pick a few things like, as I mentioned, creation. The opposite would be the theory of evolution, and as Darwin has presented it, it is so much different from what we have. I will bring that at work, but in talking about what just happened, I must commend advances, whether you are a leader, like our own conference pastor William Winston, or Dr. Honoré, or anyone who stood with what is happening, because when we don't do it, there's a time our silence becomes betrayal. So, and Martin Luther King Jr. also continued that the ultimate measure of a person is not where one stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where one stands in times of challenge and controversy, and would you stand to be with the people of God. So I will call on David, who tells in Psalm 139, verse 14, I'm having such a difficult approach and pastoral approach, and the pastoral approach will help us. The negativity that has been going on and making you think that you're inferior, that can affect you so you can show up. Like the number of Mercedes Benz that has been sold to African Americans is half of the white population, while we are just 13% of the population. Now, that also shows that we think we have to compensate to overdo certain things, whether the bling bling or whatever it is, go to an extreme. And it could be also the effect of post-traumatic disorder that has affected us, being having those symptoms. Now, Psalm 134 verse 14 reminds you, although you have been feeling that you are inferior, not only we were all created by God, but David says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. So, at the beginning, we established that we are created. That's the first biblical foundation. And if you do believe creation, there was no other creation but the one that God presented through the book of Genesis. That implies that we are one. So now you reject God. So when it comes to the Bible, what we really believe in the Bible cannot break it. You have to embrace um, the theory of evolution that has one race to be superior, and I will bring it in a moment. So the Genesis account presents that we are all water than so let me just say this. Haitians have embraced that in a sense that we have been um, out of slavery for so long. The first nation, black nation to be independent, whereby we call white people nigger. We call them nigger. Nexa, but we are talking about a white man. So that means when you have been free for so long, and that spiritual freedom also, when you have the truth that sets you free, you're free from racism. That's another aspect I wanted to present. And James Cone, in his book The Cross and the Lynching Tree, what he does, the lynching tree where we used to be hanged there as black people, he presents that same tool, that same James Cone presented just like the cross on which Christ was hanging. His connection is that same thing, just like we can understand the cross also. That was a terrible thing, and that terrible thing is the symbol of freedom today. So one knee on a neck has been a symbol that has created so much um, awareness on what's happening right there. So at creation also we understand that God meant to have one human race. There was no other not much different. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to um, the same race, they have found, and on average, two individuals who are African American or from Africa, um, more genetically dissimilar from each other than either one of the other races, whether Caucasian or people from Asia. They have found that two black persons would have in their DNA more uh, similar aspects. In other words, my DNA and the DNA of a white person does not show much, whereby he concluded there's no such thing biologically, there's no biologically, because it was external um, um, things that will influence our color and everything else. So as Homo sapiens, we have evolved to adapt to certain location, having more melanin, etc. So those variations are not in our genes. They are not there. We are created equal. So we will see that also in heaven there will be we will eternally distinct in spirit. We were created just like there were colors of birds, but they are all birds created by God. Now as human beings, we are fearfully, wonderfully created by God. We will remain like that at redemption when we will be transformed at the coming of Christ. There will be no such thing that now that I'm redeemed, I will turn white. The Bible speaks about it in heaven. When we read Revelation 7, verse 9, it's something we need to think about. After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that looked from every nation, tribe, people, and language. So you could see there was there was a difference. So you will remain eternally black, and God accepts you in the kingdom in heaven as you are, because from every nation, every tribe, people standing before the throne and the Lamb, and we were all together. So that's very important to know that God has no intention of changing you. And we see Jesus um, talking also, giving his gospel and impressing the heart of Peter in Acts chapter 10, verse 12, when he told him, go kill and eat. And what was there? It was a lot of animals, reptiles, and birds. And he said, I don't see anything except in verse 34. I wasn't talking about it before. But then Peter understand that he began to speak. Now I realize how true it is that God does not show favoritism, but accepts from every nation the one who fears him and does what is right. That's what matters to God. The one who does what is right. And what is right is revealed through his commandment, through the life of Christ. How did Christ live? He would approach the Samaritan woman and ask drink from the cup of the Samaritan woman. And people from Samaritan up to now, they have no business, nothing to do with the Jew, but Jesus way back, 2,000 years ago, and engaged that woman in order to show you that Jesus, the way he lived, there was no such thing as racism in this philosophy, in this way of living. And the Ten Commandments also that say, "Thou shalt not steal." Now, before I can kill somebody because of under the excuse of racism, I must believe, first of all, I break the law of God. So God does not show any favoritism, but accepts from every nation the one who fears him and does what is right. So what is right is the what appeals to God in terms of who we are, not the color of our skin. And talking about the color of our skin, the Ethiopian eunuch was presented the Bible study in Acts chapter 8, verse that for those of us who think that the Bible heavily supports many sex stories, First Timothy um, 6 talk about how we should honor those who are slaves should honor their, their masters. But we need to understand one thing. Slavery at that time was not based on wages. It was a financial dealing and said, if I owe you $20,000, I agree to work for probably 2 or 3 years. If that should exceed 6 years, after the 7th year, I will stop and be free. So there was an agreement, a social understanding that I will work for somebody and that thing has nothing to do with race. Now, we understand that in Galatians 3 verse 7 when we become Christ. And for those who think that the Spirit of God may be tired is bringing people to God to present their grown-up philosophy about racism, but God never supported that. Listen to what he says. For as many of you as were baptized into Christ have put on Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. Neither is male nor female. For you are all one in Christ. God is calling for unity in Himself. So the Christians were using the Bible to bring about racism. They are wrong. And if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's seed. You are here according to the promise. So we are one thing, one in Jesus. So now that situation, many which even those who are not even Christian have understood it. As Einstein said, our task must be to free ourselves from the prison of separation by finding our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its unity. So this is the value of our color, of the color of our skin. It's coming from God, and I have to know I will remain like that. In James chapter 2, verse 9, the Bible shows if you show favoritism, you sin, and you are convicted by the law as a lawbreaker. So the Bible never um, support oppression. And that's why God will free Israel out of the bondage, out of slavery from Egypt. And He did it Himself. And that's how He also gave us the Ten Commandments afterwards to remember where He took us. The whole account of Exodus 20. And that continues today. Remember, I freed you because God wants His people to worship Him. And people who will worship Him are free, and God is about that worship where He wants your freedom. And He that the Son set free is free indeed. So the Bible, in other words, is against racism, against police brutality, because in doing so, we don't treat others like we treated the golden rule. Meaning, so to clarify, that never been such thing. The Bible supports equality, and we were fearfully created by the Lord. So that's what I would bring about racism and the Bible. Maybe to your question, I will say more, but I wanted to also share with you that evolution that makes us diverge from that imbalance also have that thing about the system that would survive. So when we remove God and embrace, now we are teaching evolution in the school. So when we teach that, we are actually teaching racism is being taught. But now we believe creation. Creation is free. So when we understand that the struggle we are in is because we have removed the Word of God on our nation, and it's continuing to happen. And what I would say also is a matter of the heart. Because God wants to law and it goes beyond. And I traveled to Israel, and I'm with between the Palestinians and Israelites, and this is cool. And we can see it even in our own nation, Haiti, where people of lighter complexion would be considered inferior. So it's a matter of the heart, and we get into that, and that's why we need to understand love is the solution. Love is the solution because in the theory of evolution, the savage, those who consider themselves as superior, think that savage is to be eliminated so that the pure race may survive. That's what the would also mean. So we need to embrace Christ's method to law, and at the center of nonviolence stands that principle of law. Nonviolence is powerful and just weapon, like Martin Luther King said, which cuts without wounding and enables man yield to it. It is this word that heals, that law, and that's the nonviolent approach. Let us not destroy that legacy because it's biblical. Turning the other cheek does not mean we should not stand. I agree with the protest, I agree with the previous presentation, but let it be nonviolent because that's the recommendation of the law. Man must evolve for all human conflict. The method is death, revenge, aggression, retaliation. That's the foundation of law and nonviolence. Let's stick to it, knowing that it's connected to the Bible, and we should present law as it starts more than ever to avoid destruction, to avoid that we are Christian, are children of God. Let us use our weapon that is not carnal, but comes from the I will stop here and finish with Mother Teresa's quote. If we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. And belonging to each other from Genesis to Revelation, where we will be together also, and from creation where we were coming from one family. Let us remember that we belong to each other. I will stop here to facilitate questions for all the participants.
Thank you, Pastor. Oh man, it's amazing to also hear from you entire and more of that as well. Just understanding that we will not change how God made us and how we live exactly how we were born. And I don't know about you, I'm blessed. I'm not bad. I think God, we have to love who we are and God has made no mistakes. The fact that we do beautiful, we're surrounded by beautiful black people, just showing you that God knows what He's doing, and He wants a beauty up in heaven. So we're nothing but part of that beautiful plan. So let's go straight into our question. Now, before we go into our question, Officer Biquette has to leave, but he wanted to address you guys. If you guys need something, so we'll go for our answer.
I'm going to add something. Can you hear me?
A little static with your phone.
Okay. Okay. The attorney that previously talked, he talked about you have to know your rights, your Miranda rights. And I'll say this: if you are in custody of a police officer, you can refuse. You can tell him your name, or you may be. If you don't want to tell your name, you don't have to. I mean, I've seen people that they tell us their names, and once we run their fingerprints, we find out they were. That's fine. What you can't do once you're in custody, you can't stop a police officer from not gonna happen, because you no longer have that right. You also can't stop them from searching your car. And there are many ways about it. Police officers, they'll tell, the way that the law is, police officers can only, when they search in your car, even after an arrest, they can only search your car. Like if you sit in a passenger seat, they can only search your car anywhere that you can. If you sit in a driver's seat, or a passenger seat, if you're inside the car, they can only search wherever you can reach. But they can also do what they call a search and search for an arrest, where if they throw in your car, they can do an inventory search and search the whole car. Front to back, top to bottom. Um, Even if you're not under arrest, I know especially here in the state of Georgia, if the police officer stops you and they smell weed in your car, they have power to search your car front to back, top to bottom. Um, Other thing is, if the police officer, your attorney said, if a police officer cannot come and search your house without a warrant, that's true. But there are circumstances in which they can do it. One of them is called exigent circumstances. I'll give you an example of an exigent circumstance. If your son was outside playing or arguing with somebody else, and they pull their gun, they shoot that person, and they went into the house. The cops get to the scene. They're not waiting to go get a warrant that may take hours to get, and then come search your car. They're gonna come through it, and they're gonna bust through the doors. They're gonna go search your house until they find, your son. The circumstances will dictate when they can enter your house or your car, and when they cannot do. That's why it's important for you to know the law. With that in mind, I'm just gonna, let you guys go ahead and do the questions, and so we can go ahead and get into further.
Awesome. So for our panelists, we had Pastor Garcia, we had Dr. Onole, we had Dr. Pierre, and we have Officer Pika. We want you guys to show your faces as we start our questions. We do have our youth directors that are on here as well that had questions beforehand. Definitely, I would like you guys to, show your faces when I do address you guys. The first question is actually for Mr. Pika, and the question was, police officers seem to have complaints against them, but we don't know until something happens if they're on the news or they kill someone. So what good is a lawsuit or a complaint against an officer if they're not going? It seems like nothing is going to happen.
Oh, you need it.
You're on mute. You're on mute, that's all right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. You have to create paper trails. If you don't report the incident, it didn't happen. And think about it. If a police officer went out there today and did 20 misdeeds and nobody went and complained about it, well, they didn't happen. So in the officer's file, it shows that he filed clean, but then he's out there doing dirt and nobody's complaining about it. Complaining, you have to take the time to go to the police department and say, I want to complain against officer so and so. And here's the thing, the police department, when you work in the police department, we all know who the good cops are. We all know who the bad cops are. We all know who the dirty ones are. We all know who the racists are. You have the citizens, some of them know, most of them don't know, but some of them know. You have the only way to get rid of the bad cops is when you get into an interaction with them. If you feel like you were mistreated, don't argue with them. Just go to the police department and start complaining. Majority of the time, they're not going to tell you what they did come and announce publicly what they'll do with the cops. But that's the only way to get rid of these guys. And sometimes it may take um, greater offenses to get rid of them because these guys can be so politically so well connected with the city, the county, the police department that they work for, like minor stuff that they do, they'll be overlooked because of who they know, how well connected they are. But I said, if you have an issue, I've complained on police officers that I work with, and I've also complained on other police officers that work for other departments. You have to take the time to do it. Hello?
All right, yes, yes. Thank you so much for that answer. Now we're going to move on to the Facebook question.
Okay, we have a question from one of our youth. This will be for Dr.
All right, yes,
Daniel
yes.
Butler,
Thank you
and it
so much
says,
for that
are we gonna confront, are we gonna confront the Adventist Church long history of racism, post EGW, the fact that we have segregated conferences to this day, how the Adventist Church was promoting eugenics in its journals in the 1930s, how an Adventist hospital kicked a black woman out on the street in 1943, resulting in her death. There's a long history. There's quite a bit of history we have to ignore to regard the Adventist Church as an ally. I mean, can we talk about it?
We certainly can, and we should talk. We should have conversations that are necessary to have. Um, the Adventist Church is an imperfect institution because it is a human institution. And so it has some ugly things in its past that we cannot cover and we cannot hide. Um, when you talk about segregated conferences, however, that is where I disagree with you. There's not a conference in the United States today where you can go and you will be refused admission on the basis of your ethnicity. Um, Now, if you're talking about regional conferences, you have to remember how regional conferences came about. The incident that you mentioned was that of Lucy Baird, who went to be treated at an Adventist hospital and was refused admission. That's why it became Washington Adventist Hospital, the Washington Sanitarium. And she died a few weeks later at the Freedmen's Hospital, which is now the Howard University Hospital in Washington. As a result of the mistreatment that blacks were getting in the United States, there was a push. Some wanted to break away altogether from the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and in 1945 there was an accommodation that was made where, in unions where there were enough black members, they were allowed to organize into regional conferences as opposed to state conferences. So if you're in Atlanta, your church is either in the Georgia Cumberland Conference or you're in the South Atlantic Conference. There is no church in Georgia Cumberland that says blacks not allowed. There's no church in South Atlantic which says white members are not allowed. And we have in Northeastern Conferences, the largest of the regional conferences, or the historic black conferences, we have 60,000 members today. Today it is missional. It is not segregational. Segregation means it's not allowed. What we have now is a freedom of association. You can associate wherever you feel comfortable. The fact that you have Haitian churches, you can't call that segregation. You have need for people to be able to worship God in the context of their culture. That is fine. You have Spanish churches. You have a subculture within a culture. And just like in the New Testament, you have Paul preaching a message to the Gentiles. Well, Peter is preaching to the Jews. It's a different missional approach. The regional conferences are better equipped to reach the urban centers of America. If it were not for regional conferences, the growth of the black church would not have happened the way it happened. If you look at the growth of white Adventism and growth in black Adventism, the black churches, because of regional conferences, have grown at 16 times the rate where they were in 1945. The state conferences have grown at 4 times the rate. That's why you can say today that the Adventist Church is 32% black. Because when regional conferences started, they may have been 4 or 5% black. But because of the success, and regional conferences are one of the biggest success stories in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And so when you say we're going to dismantle them and send everybody back to white conference, I would never agree to something like that. It would be giving up our spiritual heritage. But there is no hatred. I don't hate white people. I don't. We're not fighting with white conferences. To the contrary, we all are in the same union. And on top you have the Southern Union with 3 regional conferences and 6 state conferences, and everybody gets along. You work fine. That is not the definition of segregation. That is more a freedom of association. When you go to school, go to the cafeteria. What do you see? People have a natural tendency to associate with those who look like them. You'll find black students sitting together at a table, some white students, some intermingling, but it's a freedom that everybody has to associate. The Seventh-day Adventist Church has an ugly past that is being addressed and needs to be addressed every day. And there have been apologies made for some of the abuses in the past. And we just need to continue dialogue. If Jesus doesn't come, eventually we will see the restructuring of the church in a way that these lines no longer exist. But it cannot be done prematurely. And the other fact that I resent is nobody says to the white conferences, you have to go now and join black conferences. Okay, there was major discussion like that years ago. And at a meeting, one of the white pastors said, why can't we have integrated and fully united conferences? And the presenter said, that's fine. If you guys in Georgia coming in want to vote that you're going to disband your conference and all your members and your pastors are coming to South Atlantic, that's fine with us. And the person just sat down in the conversation that I bring there, because there's always a sentiment in our minds that the white man's ice is better, it's superior, it's colder than our ice. And if it's going to happen, we have to move to that side. It's never them coming to our side. So, again, freedom of association is my argument, does not equal segregation. Segregation would be if you had a written policy that people of certain color or class or nationality can't come in. Those barriers have long gone down. And I think the church is getting stronger.
Awesome. Any questions from Sophie representing the youth on her side of the truth, or her side of the truth? No? Okay. And Lynn or Sophie or any youth director that's on here, if you have any questions, come on. So we'll move on to our next question. This question is actually for Officer again. It says, have you ever had to remove or had to correct an officer in the midst of their actions that you think is wrong?
Yes, I've actually done it many times. The problem with racism is they are so accustomed to doing some of the things that they do that they think it's just normal. I went to a call one day with an officer. I was the first officer on the scene. Knock on the door and told the people, look, we've had noise complaints and just keep it down. They said, yeah, sure. So the officer came to back me up, closed the door. The people closed the door. He said, oh, let's just stood around. And for a minute, people started arguing again. He knocked on the door, and they opened the door. He was like, I know you people, my officers, the officers told you people, I can't do this, I can't talk to them, and you people, he talked to them like, and the grandmother in the house was like, what do you mean you people? What are you talking about? What do you mean? So, and then he called himself, oh, you guys. She was like, no, you said it right the first time. So they got into an argument, and I ended up pushing him outside so I could see his situation. So the house, I'm just doing house, but they could have a lot of wrong could have been done. But I say this to let you know that what they do it. Some of them do it because they don't think there's nothing wrong with it, and then some of them do it because they want to be, they know it's wrong, and they want to assert themselves. You know, and either way, you know, if you're dealing with a police officer, whether the race is implied or he actually, whatever the reason is act is implied or he actually meant to do it. And either way, just relax. Get cool. Yeah, you can adjust what do you mean to you people, but in the end of the day, you just be cool and just make sure that once you've done dealing with the police officer, you go straight to the police department, or you can even ask them for a supervisor. Now, what I've noticed about when you call for a supervisor on the scene, the supervisor come on the scene, make your complaint, and it doesn't go anywhere. You have to, if you call for a supervisor and the supervisor call and get to the scene, you make it your duty to follow up with the complaint. A couple of days later, a couple of weeks later, you know, make sure you get a card from the supervisor, make sure you get the supervisor's name and badge number, probably get a phone number if you can, and make sure you follow up. And, you know, I reported this officer for being a racist, for being rude, this is what he did to me, and I'm just checking the complaint. If anything has been done, you know, and make sure, as you following up, make sure you documenting, you know, the date that you had the interaction with the officer, the date that you follow up. You know, make sure you keep paper trail because, like I said before, paper trail is what's gonna help us, you know, to get through it. You know, and make sure that's you documenting, you know, the date that you had the interaction.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. Sammy for Facebook.
Yes. The question that says, this is to again, Officer Vika. It said, not to put you in hot water, but regarding the situation with Ray Sharpless, do you think the cops were right in shooting him after he was clearly resisting arrest, tries to shoot and takes you back, or could that situation be handled in a different way? I understand things happen in the heat of the moment, and you have to think fast. So, what do you think you would do in that situation?
Everybody's different. I can't tell you what the officer was thinking when he shot Brooks, but what I can tell you is we have to make split-second decisions as a police officer. Like when they say split second, it's literally a split second. You know, and that split second can mean you whether you stay alive or you go or you did. So you have to make that decision. Have I been to situations like this before? I have. I didn't shoot the person. You know, there are many things that you as a police officer you have a lot of discretion. You know, you have a lot of discretion. You know, I mean, you know, you hear people say that, hey, you could have put this guy, you know, in a Uber, stole the car, sent him home. You know, even when the guy took off and the guy shot the taser at him, he could have just called and set up a perimeter. I can tell you, yes, I could have done differently, but then when faced with the same situation, maybe I would have done it. So I can't really say for sure because I was not there. I was not exposed to that situation. This is the job of the district attorney. They have now. If I was still working as a district attorney, I would have to, you know, I would have had to walk in the shoes of that police officer to figure out. And at times it's very difficult because, like I said, you have to make split-second decisions. It's very difficult. You know, the officers will tell you it's a 50-50. You know, the shooting appear to be correct 50% of the time, and it appears to be unjustified 50% of the time, and a lot of it because there are still things that we don't know. You know, there are other other videos out there that did not make it to the social media that show that help the district attorney Paul Howard make his decision. Um, I work as an investigator at Forum. I can tell you they are investigators. They are public integrity unit. They are very thorough when they do their investigation. So they will not leave stone unturned. If there are 10 other videos out there that show that the shooting was unjustified, I'm pretty sure he already got it. So for me, a part of me, I can tell you, yeah, it was justified. I can tell you, nah, it was justified, but it's not definite because of, I don't know all the information, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you so much for that. This one question is actually for Dr. Pierre. When can a parent know when it's time to actually bring their child to seek help if this situation with the social injustice actually, like what kind of signs would you need for the parents to see in order to know, okay, clearly I can't help them and their surroundings and environment cannot help them, so we're going to have to go far and seek professional help from a counselor or a therapist. What signs should a parent be looking for in order to go that far?
Yes. Thank you so much for that question. The signs will be different for different kids, obviously. However, you know your child best. If you see that their behaviors, their moods, even the way they used to think is changing, it is best for you to sit and have that conversation to see what is bothering that child. And you'll see for sure psychosomatic where the kid is experiencing stomach ache, where the kid is being fearful all the time, being hypervigilant, as I stated earlier, or overstimulated, getting angry over small things, not being able to process or regulate his or her emotions. So you have to really be watchful as a parent to see that this was not my child prior to this killing happening. So you have to really be vigilant, be watchful to see that what are the changes from day to day or even moment to moment. And when you get to have those open discussions, you talk to your kids about how they're feeling. You do regular check-in to see where they're at. They might have been okay yesterday, but today something different has happened, and they're not doing so okay. So it's a matter of continually to assess how your kids are doing and checking in with them. Have them be able to be vulnerable, honest, and open with you, so that you may be better able to help them. But some of the key ones you will see psychosomatization, where the child is experiencing unexplained headaches, stomach aches, like bodily aches, or being down more often than not, having difficulty sleeping. They can be sleeping too much or not enough, overeating or not eating. So the signs vary based on your kid. You would have to, like I said, really be watchful as to what are the changes you are noticing in your kid.
Thank you so much for that. Sammy, for Facebook, please.
Okay. Another question that we have is, can anyone, okay, let's see, who could this be directed to?
It could be anyone. It doesn't have a direct name. It could be for anybody.
Okay. The question is, can anyone speak to why the South Atlantic Conference president was silenced by the South Atlantic administration when he attempted to advise youth on how to safely protest in a Christian-like manner?
That sounds like a question from Dr. Honorio Pastor Natalia.
not really understanding the question. I sit on committees with Pastor Bill Winston, and I know him to be an advocate for social justice. So I don't know who would have silenced him. And I don't think the union would. Ron Smith is another great friend of mine who believes in justice and freedom. So I'm not really understanding the question. I don't know Mr. Garcia, who's in the local field, if you know what they're referring to.
They're referring to the youth director. It would be Pastor Donovan Washington. He had put out a post on how to safely protest, and within a few hours he had to take down the post. And so I believe that's what they're referring to.
Well, I don't have enough information to comment, or don't know what the post said.
I can comment on that. It's not about the president against justice or people going to express their feelings about what is wrong in society. But when he asked him to get it down, it's because the president wasn't aware about what's going on at the level of the youth department. All of us as departmental, we need to report to the administration. So since the president didn't know before, he asked the director to put it down, and after that he asked all of us if we want to share something with the constituent, we need to contact the administration before we do that. We need to understand clearly there is administration and there is against something. So don't mix both of them. It wasn't about he's not willing to see the young people to express their feeling. It was about procedure. And he asked him to put it down, and after that he said whenever you want to put something to the public, let me know what is the content before we do that.
Pastor Glasser, did you have anything to add to that?
That was exactly my point. Thank you, Pastor Toussaint, for confirming that. Any more intervention he had afterwards, he specified that he is withstanding with what is happening, and he wrote many letters to stand to show his stand when it comes to protest, and that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
So we do have a few minutes left, and then we will close down. Sammy, do you have anything? I would like to open it for the Zoom, those who are on Zoom, but if you have any more questions on Facebook, that would be well received.
Okay. This question would be for Dr. Pierre, and it states, explaining the trauma that Black people experience and the different effects that could have in interacting with the police, and what Officer Pecan covered. How do we bridge that gap in getting officers to understanding this? What's the best approach to help a large group of Black people who may be struggling moving past these traumas?
Yes, that is a beautiful question. Knowing what we know now, how police perception, how we as people of color, we all are affected when something happens to one of us, whether it's in a different state, whether it's in the same state or same community. Education will be key. We have to make sure that we are educating our officers on things that are specific to the cultures that they serve, the various cultures that they serve. Awareness. With that education will come awareness of the level of fearfulness that we Black people we experience when we have an interaction with law enforcement. And another thing I'll say is effective community policing. Investigator Pika said it earlier. Oftentimes, some of the police who are policing our communities, they are not from the same background, same culture with us, so they're not really well educated or aware of our cultural differences. Although yes, someone can also always learn, but there has to be more of an emphasis to make sure that the people who are policing our community, there are people we can relate to, people who sort of look like us. Oftentimes, instead of having community policing, like the nice neighborhood, what we have is over policing, where if a certain neighborhood is prone to having a lot of crime, you will see a lot of police presence, not so much police who are there for peace, who are there to get to know the kids, the people that they're serving, but looking for stuff to criminalize people. So I would say education, awareness, and effective community policing so that we can relate more to the people who are serving us and protecting us.
Thank you so much for that answer. Absolutely true. If we have anyone on the Zoom line that has any questions, that will be the time.
Hello, this is Dr. Jessie Lubro. I had a question for Dr. Honore. Hello, Dr. Honore. I was curious as to why the DC did not put out a stronger statement when it came to the killing of George Floyd. I saw the statement from the New England Conference, from the Georgia Cumberland Conference, and was quite pleased with those two, but I thought the statement from the General Conference could have been stronger.
Okay, there are a couple of factors, and it's a joy to see you, Bessie. We go back decades. It was a pleasure growing up with you in Boston, decades.
Likewise. How's your family?
Good. There are a couple of factors involved. The GC really is a world organization that doesn't get involved in every issue around the world because this could create problems for the entire world. I think the GC over the last few years has been pushed by activism here in North America to become more involved. And also keep in mind, there are two statements that this is. The first one was by Ted Wilson. It was, I think, vague, it was general, it covered so many areas that it was weak. And that got so much negative feedback on social media that 2 days or 3 days later he posted a second statement, which I thought was much better, more direct. It named George Floyd by name, it named Ahmaud Arbery, it named Breonna Taylor, and the General condolences and food baskets to all those families, and it was much more clearer. But if the GC got involved as a world organization on every issue in every country, it would be sidetracked from its mission. That's why that responsibility falls more on the shoulders of the North American division, which put out an excellent statement. And so that's the best response I can have for you.
Yeah. So actually, I misspoke. It wasn't the statement from the GC. It was the original statement from Ted Wilson. And I was quite pleased to see the North American division statement afterwards as well.
Right. And the second statement from him was a lot stronger than the first and more focused. Thank you.
Thank you. I did have, there's one question here from Zoom. It says, for Officer Pica, we understand that the police union is a major support of police officers, even in cases of brutality. Does the union stand with Black police officers as well when it comes to these infractions?
This is a pretty tough question. What I will say is the police department, majority of the police department are predominantly okay, so your metropolitan police departments are the ones that have unions. Your smaller agencies usually don't have them. So when you look at a police department like New York that have about 55,000 officers, yes, they have a union. A police department like Atlanta, I think Atlanta have about 6,000 officers. I think it's between 5,200 to 6,000 officers. They have a union. Your smaller agencies don't have a union. And with the union, they supposed to back the police officers, and they're supportive. that's not their support. They supporting the police officers. That's essentially what's going on with the public. You know, you have to the issue between the police department officers and the public it's been around for decades. It's the thing between it's us versus them. You know, I've never got into it myself because when you're talking about us versus them, I'm them. You know, I'm part of them. You know, I'm part of the community because outside the uniform, I'm just an average black man. You know, I don't walk around every day with a badge on my forehead with a uniform on me 24/7. So when you see me, I'm just a black man, just like any other black man. So even if I work for a police department that had a union, their view is the view of the majority of the police officers that they support. And if you work for a predominantly white police department, that's the view they support. The issue is that there are the problem with agencies is they have umbrellas that they cover under. You know, some police departments, police officers can go out there and get into an officer involved shooting where they kill somebody, um, but they get away with it. Why they get away with it? Because there's no camera, there's no witnesses, and if there were another officer around, the officers tend to cover for them. If you recall, a couple of years ago, I think it was in South Carolina, where the officer was trying to arrest this guy, and the guy took off running, and he shot the guy in the back, and he ran on and picked up his taser and dropped the taser on the side of the guy. Now, initially, when the shooting, when the word of the shooting came out, the shooting was being justified because what the officer said on the report is that the guy took his taser from him and used his taser against him, and that's why he had to shoot him. Well, it wasn't until the video surfaced that they realized that the officer was lying, and that's when they decided to lock him up and prosecute him. Now, think about how many times this happened in the past, and it's still happening that they don't get caught up on camera a bunch of times. You know, so when the officers, even the court system, when police officers go to court and say, yeah, I clocked this guy speeding, he was going 65 in a 40 a mile per hour zone, the judge tends to believe the officer, even if the officer is lying. So this is why it's so difficult to prosecute police officers. You know, in addition, we have what they call qualified immunity. Pretty much give you a green light to go out there and do whatever you want and get away with it. We have some states that have, I think Colorado is one of the first states that actually took away qualified immunity from police officers. The federal government, there's a push for the federal government to either take it away or reduce qualified immunity, you know, for police officers. And that's gonna help some of these police officers, dirty police officers, kind of like, you know, chill a little bit or just get out law enforcement, you know, period. What people should do is, if you have any interaction with a bad police officer in your area, in your county, the more and more people go out and complain about it, the more and more we'll be able to do something to, you know, make sure that the agency get rid of that police officer. Because people have to understand, your tax dollars is what pay the salaries of police officers. So essentially, police officers, when they say they're supposed to protect and serve you, we're part of the youth. It's all of us. It's not just the people that pay, you know, it's not just white folks. It's not just Hispanic. It's not just Asian. It's all of us. You know, you pay property taxes. You pay sales tax. You have this police officers should actually give you the same service that they extend to everybody else. So if you're not happy with the service that you're getting, by all means, go complain about it, and you keep complaining about it until something is done.
that was good right there. It's 7 o'clock, and I really do not want to hold people. I think we had a long, very informative day. Man, I think my brain hasn't even digest most of the stuff that was going on. So thank God this is recorded so we could be able to go back and see a lot of the stuff. Officer Mika, oh man, we are including a blessing. Oh man, I just thank you so much for being here, and giving us a light, like I said, for you to be in it and to see it. It's just such a blessing. So thank you so much again and again and again for participating. I pray that we can have you. The young people are texting me right now, and I hope to have you on the side where we can do one when it's solely that. That will be something that we do need to. I think something you could talk forever about.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Dr. Pierre, thank you again so much for, like I said, nobody thinks that far into mental distress. And like I said, you won't know until you see it or you feel it. And I'm just thankful that you're able to go as deep as you did, because you would never think it goes that far to where you subconsciously get hit by these triggers. And so I just want to thank you so much. And I actually, once again, it's so funny. I literally get texts from each and every one of you guys, and which church, who, and it's just amazing. So thank you. We definitely reach out to you later. And
thank you. It was my absolute pleasure. It was my absolute pleasure.
Can I say, I personally of the conference out there doing something and marching. To me, that is something that we need to do down here, and I'm just so blessed to see that and to see that Adventists are standing up for what is right. So thank you, and the history was amazing. Thank you so much for that.
And thank you for having me, and I wish you all well as you move forward. God bless.
And of course, Pastor Gracia, thank you so much for tying everything up and letting us know this beauty right here, blackness, will go to heaven and stay there as well. So that was like the exclamation point for this whole program. So just thank you so much for going deep into that. So, and I want to definitely reach out and just say thank you to Pastor Jean-Ecou Toussaint, our Haitian coordinator, for helping us put this all together. Pastor Dr. Chrissy Tom, thank you so much. Pastor, once again, gracias for literally having your the churches just shut down just for a little moment so our young people can just have a plethora of information, and also for our parents who are there to support us. That this is what SACHAYF is all about. It's not just the youth program and that's it. It's youth and the surrounding community that holds our youth together. This is not over, guys. As you can see, it took us 3 hours to put this whole information together into a box. And even with that information, there's so much more to stress to take out of this. There's so much more to talk about. There's so much more that we have to do. So we just thank you guys for being here. Thank you for supporting SACHAYF. Thank you for being a part of SACHAYF and helping us so much. Oh, who do we contact if our youth have more questions? Please give that information to me. If our youth have more questions and we do want our panelists to come in later on in life, please let your youth department directors know, our pastors know, because once again they helped out with this, and then they will be able to get more people or to get the same analysts again to be able to do their own private sessions with the churches, or to have a part two, hopefully by the grace of God, if it can be done. Our Haitian coordinator, if you have anything to say to address our youth and our parents, I wish I could get more questions from you guys, but we do have to, and good things have to end one time, and we could pick it back up.
Thank you again for having me. So, I'm out. Thank you guys. You have my information, so feel free to reach back whenever you want.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Pastor,
all the 3 pastors want to say thank you. Edwin, you are doing an excellent job, an excellent ministry. May God bless you, bless your family, and to all
our guests, we want to say thank you. And when I'm saying that, I'm talking also to our beloved Nathaniel Gracia. We are so blessed to having Pastor Gracia among us as co-workers in South Atlantic Conference, and he is doing a marvelous ministry among us. Thank you all. Thank you, young people. Thank you, Dr. Benoit. And don't forget, we need to come together. We are one in our diversity. May God bless you all, and may God continue to lead us until we can see Him face to face. Thanks, Edwin.
And now, Pastor Dr. Fritz Thomas, if you can please, you started with a beautiful prayer. Please end it with a beautiful prayer so we can leave in peace.
Dear Lord, just and righteous Father, we thank you so much for the critical information that you have sent to us this evening. Please help us to be not only good listeners, but also good doers. Teach us the best way to act when we confront a difficult situation. Teach everyone to walk humbly with you, to have compassion, and to do justice. We know that the devil is behind crime, killing, discrimination, and social injustice. However, we are rejoicing by the fact to know things will change soon and very soon, because you will put an end to the reign of sin. Help us to remain faithful to your promise made in John 14. At your soon return, we will go to heaven to spend 1,000 years eternally with you. And then we will be established on the new earth, where there will be no more social injustice, no more discrimination, no more police brutality, no more killing, no more funeral homes, no more cemeteries, because we will live with you forever and ever. Let our family, Dr. Pierre, Officer T, Dr. Daniel Honoré, Pastor Nathaniel Garcia, they have done tremendous job for you. Your people have been edified. Bless our co-leader, Pastor SACHAYF. Bless our SACHAYF president and staff, Mrs. Estimate and staff. Bless our young people. Continue to protect them. Continue to walk with them. Give them victory over sin. And keep our name written in the book of life. Thank you, Father, for this meeting. And continue to use us to let people know you stand for justice. And so you'll come back to bring justice to those whom you love. Bless us again, Father, as we will have to face new challenges. May the Holy Spirit continue to inspire us so that we live for your glory, for the benefit of your people, for the formation of our young people, so that we can be good ambassadors for you on this earth. This we are. Not because we are worthy, but we pray in the loving, majestic name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to whom be the glory, now